Just watched I Know What You Did Last Summer, probably for the fourth or fifth time, but I never did a review on it, so let's talk about it right now. Welcome back to the channel, everyone. Thank you so much for spending time with me as we rant about movies, comic books, and television shows, as well as the occasional board game. I'm your host, Frank Zanka, an award-winning screenwriter, novelist, and comic book writer, as well as a filmmaker. And yeah, we're going to talk about the Wayback Machine with I Know What You Did Last Summer, which is getting a remake or reboot, or I don't know what you'd call it, kind of in the same vein of what they did with Scream, where they combined the older original cast and the newer cast, or the survivors of those movies anyway. Before you do, remember to give me a like, give me a thumbs up if you can. If you can't subscribe, please do. Ring that bell, ding, ding. Also, share this video out there as well. And remember, too, that I am on Amazon. You can check out my books. Just go to Amazon.com, type my name in. You'll check out my 4-novel sci-fi series, Destiny Aurora. It's also made into a board game, an RPG, a graphic novel. It's also on Audible. All my books are also on Kindle, including my fantasy book, Tales of Ravenor, the Iron Witch, and my new comic that is now on Kickstarter in pre-launch mode. So you can just click notify me, and I'll notify you when we launch in a few weeks, and you'll get to take advantage of the early bird specials. But we have going on, 250 people that are signed up for right now, getting to be notified, and it's gonna basically delve into some murderous fantasy characters, fairy tale characters, including Cinderella, who breaks her shoe and kills people with the pieces of it. Captain Hook, I basically made, a version of the Hook character here, with this big hook on his arm. I also gave him a fairy, and Tiger Lily is tracking them down, chasing them through the streets of New York City as they're leaving a trail of blood behind them. What are they doing there? That's what you got to read to find out. All right, so definitely look at that. The QR code is here, or there's a link in the description below. All right, so let's jump into I Know What You Did Last Summer. I'm pretty sure that possibly everybody watching this has already seen it. If you have not seen it, then I suggest you watch it. It is on Netflix probably for the next few days, which is why I clicked on it, because it was actually leaving. But if you have not seen it, then what's wrong with you? Especially if you're a fan of horror. But what's great about this movie is that it wasn't just about the slasher. It wasn't about the killer at all. Where, something like Halloween and Jason, the main characters are pretty forgettable, except for Jamie Lee there, Jamie Lee Curtis in Halloween. But for the most part, everybody else is totally forgettable. Where here, it was more about the main cast of characters than it was about the killer. It was more about their reaction and how they were trying to live their life with this secret. That's what the movie was about, with the slasher stuff basically thrown in at the end. So it was definitely a different type of cast that made this film. Both the cast made the film and the film made the cast, if that makes any sense. It was a combination of the film being decent and the cast being breakout stars. And that's what really made this film different. And I think that's what made it stand the test of time more than anything else. Because there aren't, there's definitely some movies during the 80s and 90s that have continued on, especially in the horror genre, because we had, Halloween, we have, Friday the 13th, we have Freddy Krueger, we have all these things that have lasted the test of time. And then on the other slasher side, we also have Scream and I Know What You Did Last Summer. That was the movies that just keep going on and on and on in the sense of horror. There's not many movies in other genres, as many that exist in horror. I think horror is the one If you make a decent, fun character as a killer, it will continue going on and on and on. Sci-fi has, it's three or four different things that, they continue on from. But even sci-fi doesn't have as many as horror. It's very, very interesting that horror has such the longevity than any other genre there is in existence. The rom-coms, there's a certain amount of rom-coms that everybody watches over and over and over again. But again, you could probably only name like 5 of them. Where in the horror side, it's at least a dozen that you can probably name off the top of your head. So it's very, very interesting that the one genre that can beat all of the others. And it is also the one genre that you don't have to have any name actors in, and it still does well. So that's I find that extremely interesting because I'm trying to do some. I've been trying to do my own horror stuff for a while. The closest I came was my western, my horror western. It was really more of a supernatural western. There was no really jump scares or anything to that effect. But let's jump into the cast here, and more specifically the writer. So Jim Gillespie is the director. I looked at his IMDb. I can't tell you anything else that I've seen that he's done. However, now Lois Duncan is credited as a writer here, but I think she was the novelist behind it. The real kicker here is Kevin Williamson, who is the writer, and damn, he is prolific. If this guy isn't a multi-billionaire, I don't know who would be. Because let me name off the stuff that he's done. I mean, the guy is a genius, and not just in horror. That's the really interesting part. So he wrote, the first thing he ever wrote in 1996 was Scream. That's his first writing credit. Scream. Then his next movie was I Know What You Did Last Summer in 1997. Scream 2 in 1997. The Faculty in 1998. Then he changes completely with Teaching Mrs. Tingle in 1999. Wasteland, I don't know that one. Scream 3, he jumps a couple of years, and he goes into Scream 3 at 2000. He's almost every year he's got a hit. Glory Days, Dawson, then he ends up going to TV. And he goes into Dawson's Creek and creates Dawson's Creek that goes 128 episodes. He did a movie, I think this was Christina Ricci, Cursed. Scream 4 in 2011, so he took a little break in there. The Secret Circle, he only did one episode of that, though. Stalker, 20 episodes. The Following, 45 episodes. He created that. He created The Vampire Diaries at 171 episodes. Time After Time, that's the movie, that's the series that came off the movie. It was okay. The movie is obviously much better. Tell Me a Story, Ghostface. Then he goes back into Scream in 2022 where he wrote, it says only based on his characters, but he's getting paid for that. He also did Sick. And then he didn't do Scream 6, but he's based on his characters. And he also just created The Waterfront with Melissa Benoist. What the hell, man? What the hell? This guy is amazing. So, I mean, he never dropped the ball in his whole career. Just amazing. So let's go into the cast real quick. So Jennifer Love Hewitt is credited as the main character. I don't know if it's really an ensemble, but she's credited as the main character. She was on the rise at that time. They were promoting her more than any of the other characters. If you look at the poster, any poster you see, she's up front. And which is interesting because, she was at the time, becoming a sex symbol to a certain degree. And in the movie, she's not the sex symbol. Sarah Michelle Gellar is. So Sarah Michelle Gellar is kind of in the back in this, I don't know if she had done Buffy at that point. I don't think so. And but Sarah Michelle Gellar, I don't remember her being as well endowed as some of the shots that were in there. I'm like, what the? But it was interesting to see, her pre-Buffy days, and because of course I think this is what helped her get Buffy. And then we had Ryan Philippe, who was also an up-and-comer, and Ryan Philippe and Sarah Michelle Gellar also did another movie later on called Cruel Intentions, which is an excellent film. It's a remake, but it's an excellent film, and I actually like it better than the original. But I actually worked with Ryan Philippe on he did a 1 day stint for Vessa Bear for I Love That For You. And I just talked to him real quick. I didn't get to really have any conversation with him, but he was really a nice guy. Of course, he was also married to Reese Witherspoon for a number of years as well. He also did a series called Shooter. I like him as an actor. He doesn't do much anymore that I've seen ever since Shooter ended. But really nice guy. So I love to see the people that I kind of grew up on being nice, to work with. And then of course Sarah Michelle Gellar and Freddie Prinze Jr. met each other on this set, ended up getting married, and they ended up doing another movie together, or several movies together, under Scooby-Doo, where she played Daphne and he played Fred. So very, very interesting across the board. And then you had Anne Hesh in here also, who's almost unrecognizable. She's so young. But what I didn't realize, that there's one actor in here that I was like, oh my God, I never realized he was in there. And that is Johnny Galecki from Big Bang Theory. So I'm like, wow, he looks so different without the glasses. But I looked him up because I never really looked Johnny Galecki up, because I've only known him really from Big Bang Theory. But he's had an amazing career outside of that. And of course, I think that's what he's always going to get known for. But he was, because Big Bang Theory had 279 episodes, man. I mean, that is huge. But he was also in Roseanne for a number of years, where that went 94 episodes. He also played Rusty Griswold in National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation. I didn't even know any of that. So it's pretty amazing that this film, every person in here went on to have a very, very big career. Very big career. Or at least those 5. So very great. And then, so like I said, the story is really about their guilt, right? How each one of them internalized their guilt to the point where it affected their lives. That's what really the film is about. Because obviously that they hit someone and they cover it up because they're young. They think that it's going to affect their life, which it probably would. And so instead of calling the cops or whatever else, because Ryan Philippe was drunk and Freddie Prinze Jr. was driving his car, but he dropped alcohol over the car. It was going to be bad no matter what. But anyway, so they all internalize it in a different way. And that's really what's interesting here. So Jennifer Love Hewitt, her classes go down the toilet. She's, failing stuff, and she's about to get kicked out of college when she goes home for the summer. Sarah Michelle Gellar was supposed to go to New York. She goes to become an actress, and she comes pretty much back immediately. She can't do it. Ryan Philippe comes from a rich family, so he's fine. And Freddie Prinze Jr. becomes his dad pretty much by becoming a fisherman. So it's all very, very interesting stuff. And I think it takes place in like North Carolina or something. It's definitely, towards the south. But anyway, it's very interesting. And then they go from there into the actual killer slasher side. But by then, you're invested in the characters enough to care what happens to them. And I think that is the secret of this film, because the killer himself is not interesting. And the big problem with the script is that there is no red herrings. There's a little bit of detective work on the part of the of the cast of characters, but nothing really. It's not like we ever see the actual, which is I think a detriment to the movie, is that we never see the killer out and about, right? We never see him where we could say, oh, it's that guy, or it's that guy. It's the only red herring is Freddie Prinze's character. That's it. Is it him? Because he's the only wild card in the whole thing. But that's it. Other than that, it's a very straightforward slasher, and there's not any surprises. When we finally get the reveal of the killer, it's like, who's this guy? We've never seen him up till the end. Because they kept pushing and pushing the Freddie Prinze character as possibly being the killer. But obviously, we all knew that wasn't going to work. But so I don't know why they did that. They should have had at least a couple of more red herrings in there. But that's really my only critique of the film, is that the killer should have been introduced somewhere else earlier in the film, where it just wasn't like out of the blue. And I like the whole fight scene at the end, and I can tell you that Jennifer Love Hewitt and Sarah Michelle Gellar both must have taken screaming classes, because both of them can belt out a scream like I've never heard. I guess they were, some of the original Scream Queens, I guess. But yeah, on a scale from 1 to 10, this is an 8 for me. I enjoyed watching it over again, and I'll probably go see. I will definitely, not even a probably. I will definitely go see the new one, even if it's got horrible reviews. Just to see the original cast over again. I heard that Jennifer Love Hewitt had gained a lot of weight, but she looks like she's back to semi-normal. I actually got to meet Jennifer Love Hewitt. I got a picture up there I could have shown you from CBS when I got to meet her during a CBS thing. In fact, maybe I'll stop. Yeah, so this was back when she was doing Ghost Whisperer, but that was when I went to CBS. But yeah, good stuff. She's always been hot, but it's funny that they downplayed her and upplayed Sarah Michelle Gellar. But Sarah Gellar, she could pull it at that point. It was great to see them all so young. I might watch Cruel Intentions again too, just to watch it. Anyway, I could probably just jabber about this stuff for hours. Anyway, I'll let it all go. But if you haven't seen it, go watch it. If you have seen it, go watch it again before the new movie comes out. I don't know if I'm going to watch Still. Can't remember Still Knows at all. I can't remember the sequel to that movie at all. So I might try to find that one too, just to watch it. But I don't think that one was nearly as good. Anyway, that's it for me. Remember to give me a like, give me a subscribe if you can. Ring that bell, ding ding. Remember too to check out my stuff on Amazon, and also jump into Kickstarter for our Fairy Tales of Terror. Wrong side. The QR code, or click the link in the description below and sign up so I'd like to get to 300-400 people before we even launch. Would be awesome. Anyway, thanks again for watching, guys. I'm going to go see Megan tomorrow, so I will definitely have a review up for that, and I might go see F1 during the time, but I'm really looking forward to Megan. All right, see you guys later.